You know what's wild? Right now, as you're watching this video, there's probably something you know you should do with your money. Maybe it's opening that IRA you've been researching for 6 months. Maybe it's refinancing your mortgage while rates are still reasonable. Or maybe it's finally starting that investment account that you've bookmarked 3 different tutorials about. And here's the thing, you're not going to do it today either, are you? I'm not trying to call you out, I'm just stating what the data shows. The average person delays major financial decisions by 2.7 years. Not days, not months, years, and that delay, it's costing you way more than you think. My name is Elon Musk, and I spend way too much time thinking about the invisible cost of doing nothing. If you're someone who keeps telling yourself you'll get to it next month, when it comes to your finances, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what we're going to talk about today is going to make you genuinely uncomfortable, and that's the point. Look, most people think delaying a financial decision costs them whatever they would have made during that delay period. So if you wait 1 year to invest $5,000, you think you just missed out on maybe 10% returns, right? That's $500, not great, but not catastrophic. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Here's what most people don't realize. Every financial decision you delay doesn't just cost you the immediate returns. It costs you the compounding on those returns, forever, for the entire rest of your investing timeline. Let me give you a real example with actual math. Sarah is 28 years old. She has $6,000 sitting in her checking account that she knows she should put into an IRA. She's been meaning to do it. She's read the articles. She understands the tax advantages, but she just hasn't done it yet. 1 year passes, then 2, then 3. By the time Sarah is 31, she finally opens the account and invests that $6,000. Now, if we assume a 10% average annual return, which is pretty close to the historical stock market average, here's what that 3-year delay cost her. If she had invested at 28, that $6,000 would be worth approximately $167,000 by the time she's 65. By waiting until 31, that same $6,000 will only grow to about $125,000. That 3-year delay cost Sarah $42,000, not the $1,800 she might have made in 3 years. $42,000. And here's where it gets really interesting. That's assuming she only delayed investing that one lump sum. Most people who delay one financial decision are delaying multiple financial decisions simultaneously. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I'm not delaying because I'm lazy. I'm waiting because I want to make the right decision. I hear this all the time and I get it, I really do. But here's the uncomfortable truth. What you're calling being careful is actually just fear wearing a disguise. There's this phenomenon that behavioral economists call analysis paralysis, and it's absolutely destroying people's financial futures. A study from Columbia University found that when people are presented with too many investment options, they're 10% less likely to invest at all for every 10 additional fund options they're given. Think about that. The more choices you have, which should theoretically be a good thing, the less likely you are to make any choice at all. And the financial industry has figured this out. They keep adding more funds, more options, more customized solutions. Not because it helps you, but because it keeps you paralyzed and keeps your money in low-interest savings accounts where they can use it. But here's what's really happening psychologically. You're not afraid of making the wrong decision. You're afraid of the regret you'll feel if you make the wrong decision. This is a critical distinction. Let me explain. If you invest $10,000 today and the market drops 20% next month, you'll feel like an idiot. That emotional pain is immediate and visceral. But if you don't invest that $10,000 and the market goes up 30% over the next year, the regret is much more abstract. You can tell yourself, well, I was being cautious, or I'll catch the next opportunity. The pain of action that goes wrong feels worse than the pain of inaction, even when inaction costs you more. Here's where this gets exponential, and where most people's financial lives completely fall apart without them even realizing it. You're not just delaying one decision. You're delaying multiple decisions, and they're all compounding against you. Let's look at a realistic scenario. Meet James, 32 years old, making $75,000 a year. Delay 1, retirement contributions. James knows he should be maxing out his 401k match, but he's only contributing 3% when his employer matches up to 6%. He's been meaning to increase it for 2 years. Cost. He's leaving $2,250 per year on the table in free money, plus all the growth on that money. Over 30 years, this delay will cost him approximately $380,000. Delay 2, high-interest debt. James has $8,000 in credit card debt at 22% APR. He keeps meaning to do a balance transfer to 0% intro rate card, but he hasn't gotten around to the paperwork. He's been carrying this balance for 18 months. Cost. He's paid about $2,640 in interest that could have been avoided completely. Money that's just gone. Delay 3. Life insurance. James has been meaning to get term life insurance since he got married 3 years ago. He's 32 now, not 29. For a $500,000 policy, he's now paying about $35 a month instead of the $28 a month he would have paid at 29. That extra $7 a month over 30 years is $2,520, plus the lack of coverage during those 3 years. Delay 4. House down payment. James has been saving for a house, but he's keeping his down payment fund in a regular savings account earning 0.5% instead of a high-yield savings account earning 4.5%. On $30,000, that's costing him $1,200 per year in lost interest. Over the 5 years he's been saving, that's $6,000 he just didn't make because he didn't spend 15 minutes opening a different account. Add it all up, James's delays aren't costing him hundreds or even thousands. They're costing him over $390,000 across his lifetime. And here's the thing that should really scare you. James thinks he's doing okay. He's saving something. He's thinking about his finances. He's just not acting on what he knows. This is most people. This might be you. Look, I'm not here to just depress you. I'm here to fix this. The problem isn't that you don't know what to do. The problem is that you've been using the wrong framework for making financial decisions. Most people use what I call the perfect information model. They think, I'll make the decision once I have all the information and I'm completely sure it's the right move. That model is broken. It will keep you broke. Here's the framework that actually works, the good enough right now model. Here's how it works. Step 1. Identify if this is a reversible or irreversible decision. Most financial decisions are reversible. You can change your investment allocation. You can refinance again if rates drop further. You can adjust your savings rate. Irreversible decisions like taking a 401k, early withdrawal, or buying a house deserve more analysis. But 80% of the financial decisions you're delaying, totally reversible. Step 2. Set a decision deadline. Not someday, not when I understand it better. A date tomorrow, this weekend, next Tuesday. Research from the University of Chicago shows that people who set specific deadlines for financial decisions are 40% more likely to follow through than those who leave it open-ended. Step 3. Accept that better is the enemy of done. A good financial decision made today beats a perfect financial decision made never. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you're choosing between 2 index funds. Fund A has an expense ratio of 0.04%, and Fund B has an expense ratio of 0.06%. You spend 3 months researching and trying to decide which is better. During those 3 months, the market goes up 8%. Even if you pick the worse fund with the higher expense ratio, you're still way better off than if you had waited 3 months to invest in the better fund. The 8% market gain completely dwarfs the 0.02% expense ratio difference. This is where it gets really interesting. The difference between the best decision and a good decision is usually tiny, but the difference between a good decision and no decision is enormous. Now you might be thinking, but what about market timing? What if I invest right before a crash? This is the most common objection I hear, so let's kill it right now with actual data. Vanguard did a study looking at investors over a 60-year period. They compared 2 strategies. Strategy A: invest immediately when you have the money. Strategy B: dollar cost average over 12 months. Immediate investment beat dollar cost averaging 68% of the time. Not by a little bit. The immediate investment approach had returns that were 2.3% higher on average. But here's the even crazier stat. They also looked at the worst-case scenarios. The absolute worst times to invest, right before major market crashes. If you had invested $100,000 in the S&P 500 the day before Black Monday in 1987, the worst single-day crash in history, you know what you'd have today? Over $2.4 million. If you had invested right before the 2008 financial crisis, you'd still have over $400,000. If you had invested at the market peak right before COVID crashed everything in March 2020, you'd have over $170,000 today. The worst possible timing still beats waiting. Let that sink in for a second. The worst possible timing, investing at the peak right before a crash, still results in substantial wealth over time. So when you're waiting for the right time, what you're really doing is guaranteeing the wrong outcome. Here's something most people completely miss. While you're deciding, inflation is actively stealing from you. Let's say you have $50,000 in cash that you're trying to decide what to do with. You're thinking about investing it, but you want to wait until you understand the market better. At 3% inflation, which is pretty typical historically, here's what's happening to that $50,000. Year 1, your purchasing power drops to $48,500. Year 2, down to $47,045. Year 3, down to $45,634. You haven't spent a dollar, but you've lost $4,366 in purchasing power just by sitting on the sidelines. And that's assuming modest 3% inflation. We've seen periods recently where inflation was over 8%. Meanwhile, if you had invested that money in a simple index fund, even with a mediocre 7% return, you'd have. Year 1, $53,500. Year 2, $57,245. Year 3, $61,252. The difference between deciding and not deciding isn't $1,252 versus $45,634. It's $61,252 versus $45,634. That's a $15,618 swing on one decision over 3 years. Every day you wait to make a financial decision, you're not treading water, you're actively moving backward. Here's something nobody talks about, but it's absolutely critical. Your delayed financial decisions don't just affect you, they affect everyone who depends on you. I want you to imagine your future self at 70 years old. You're sitting across the table from your 30-year-old self right now. Your 70-year-old self knows how all your decisions played out, every delay, every "I'll do it next month," every "I need to research this more." What do you think your 70-year-old self would say to you right now? I can tell you what most people's 70-year-old selves would say. Stop overthinking it and just start. Because here's the brutal reality. At 70, you're not going to care that you invested in Fund A instead of Fund B. You're not going to care that you didn't time the market perfectly. You're going to care whether you have enough money to live with dignity, whether you can help your kids, whether you're a burden to your family or a blessing to them. And the difference between those two outcomes is being determined right now by the decisions you're not making today. All right, look, I've spent this whole video making you uncomfortable. That was the point, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. Here's exactly what you need to do in the next 72 hours. Hour 1, the financial triage. Write down every financial decision you've been delaying. Be honest. Get it all out. The retirement account you haven't opened. The savings rate you haven't increased. The debt you haven't tackled. The insurance you haven't bought. The budget you haven't created. Hour 2, the severity sort. Next to each delayed decision, write a number 110 for how much it's costing you. Be brutally honest. That credit card debt at 24% interest, that's a 10. Choosing between 2 index funds with similar expense ratios, that's a 2. Hour 3, the one thing rule. Pick the highest severity item, just 1, not 3, not 5, 1. And here's the key, you're going to complete that one decision within 72 hours. Not start it, complete it. If it's opening an IRA, you're going to open it, fund it, and invest the money, all within 72 hours. If it's increasing your 401k contribution, you're going to log into your account and change it today. If it's refinancing your mortgage, you're going to apply to at least 3 lenders this weekend. Here's what most people don't realize. The first decision is the hardest. Once you break the paralysis on one thing, the others get exponentially easier. I've seen this happen hundreds of times. Someone finally opens that investment account they've been putting off for 2 years, and suddenly, within a month, they've also increased their emergency fund, set up automatic savings, negotiated their car insurance, started tracking their spending. It's like a dam breaking. One decision creates momentum for all the others. Here's the beautiful thing about making financial decisions promptly. Just like delays compound against you, actions compound in your favor. Every good decision you make improves your decision-making capacity. You build confidence, you learn, you get better at evaluating options quickly. There's research from MIT that shows people who make more frequent financial decisions, even small ones, develop better financial intuition over time. They become calibrated to risk versus reward. They stop overthinking. Meanwhile, people who delay decisions get worse at making them. They become more paralyzed, not less. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. Look, I get it, making financial decisions is scary. There's real money at stake. You could lose some of it. You could make the wrong choice. But here's the final truth that I need you to understand. The certainty you're waiting for doesn't exist. It never will. There will never be a moment where you have perfect information, zero risk, and complete confidence. That moment is a fantasy. The only choice is between action and inaction, between deciding imperfectly or not deciding at all. And here's what the math unambiguously shows. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. 20 years from now, you're not going to regret making a good financial decision today that turned out to be slightly suboptimal. But you will absolutely regret not making any decision at all. So here's my challenge to you. Before you go to bed tonight, make one financial decision you've been delaying. Open that account, increase that contribution, make that transfer, apply for that refinance. Just one decision, that's all I'm asking. Because the cost of delayed decisions isn't something abstract that happens to other people. It's happening to you right now, every single day you wait. And the absolute best time to stop paying that cost was 5 years ago. But the second best time is today, right now. If this video gave you that kick in the pants you needed, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment and tell me what financial decision you're committing to make this week. Actually write it down. Research shows you're 42% more likely to follow through if you make a public commitment. And remember, your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let them down. I'll see you in the next one.